Georgia O'Keeffe is a larger-than-life figure. She transcends the art world in so many ways. Not only was her output important, but the way in which she chose to live her life, the way in which she, so forwardly thinking, stepped outside of societal norms and established a world for herself. We often look at artists through a lens that we really only can see from the fine art they created. But to have a glimpse into their personal life is exceedingly rare. The Hamilton collection is an assemblage of material related to Georgia O'Keeffe, Alfred Stieglitz, and Juan Hamilton. What's remarkable about the collection is the lineage. Not only do you have works from Georgia O'Keeffe's estate, but also Alfred Stieglitz's estate, since she inherited that after he died in 1946. These works were inherited by Juan Hamilton in the 1980s, and they've been tucked away in his personal collection for the last 30 years. Ranging from fine art to personal affects, clothing, documents, and manuscripts, it's a time capsule of 20th century American art. Juan Hamilton is an American sculptor who lives and works in New Mexico. He met Georgia O'Keeffe in 1973 when he moved out west and was looking for work. He actually just walked up to her door one day at Ghost Ranch and knocked and asked if she had any projects. O'Keeffe, who was wary of strangers, initially turned him away, but eventually asked him if he knew how to pack a shipping crate and put him through a few tests before taking him on full-time. When Juan Hamilton met Georgia O'Keeffe, she was still painting and working at her Ghost Ranch studio. She soon took on new media after meeting him, and one can assume it was his influence that helped her explore pottery for the first time. From the late 1970s into the early 80s, O'Keeffe, who had traditionally been a painter, working in both oils and watercolors, embarks on a body of work that is unlike anything else she's produced in her lifetime, and has really never come to market or been exposed widely. As much as Juan Hamilton's work had an influence on O'Keeffe, she also had an influence on his work. She started to do a series of rock formations in the 1960s, long before meeting him. Hamilton picked up on this aesthetic, and you can see it in his body of work from the 70s, 80s, and even more recently. Untitled Red Form is an exceptional work. Not only does it embody the simplification of form that O'Keeffe is also known for, but the richness of color is incredible. You can see a real emphasis on natural shapes and formations. Included in the auction are a number of Georgia O'Keeffe's personal effects, including personal clothing that O'Keeffe is thought to have sewn herself, dresses that are documented in photographs, a velvet hood that is shaped directly to her head, a box of personal recipes, personal documents like her marriage certificate to Alfred Stieglitz from 1924, works that are both museum quality and allow you to really experience these iconic artists as human beings. There was a significant age difference between O'Keeffe and Stieglitz, but he helped her enter the New York art scene and was really the first person to champion her work and bring her onto a global stage. He founded a gallery in New York, which would later be called 291, and it was at 291 that they first met. Georgia O'Keeffe was Alfred Stieglitz's greatest muse. He did a series of portraits of her over the course of their lives together, which spanned into the hundreds. Hand and Wheel is a prime example of Stieglitz's ability to fracture recognizable forms into more abstract compositions. O'Keeffe's hand at the top of the frame is wearing a silver bracelet that mimics the very Art Deco lines of the hubcap beneath it. At the time that Hand on Wheel was taken in 1933, O'Keeffe was headed on a journey west. She would eventually resettle in New Mexico permanently after Alfred Stieglitz died in 1946. But this was one of the first journeys that she would take on her own, driving in her recently purchased car. I would imagine that the image was emotionally charged for Stieglitz, who was saying goodbye to his wife. O'Keeffe viewed herself as an artist first and foremost. She always hated when people referred to her as a female artist. She was just an artist. And anecdotally, she was very critical of her own work. O'Keeffe kept a small body of work in her possession until her death, which included Nature Form's Gaspé. The work embodies everything that O'Keeffe is most known for. It's a stunning example of O'Keeffe's technical skill in oil. Painted in a series of greens and blues, the palette is quite cool, with the exception of a beautiful hint of maroon, deep red at the bottom center of the image. This color anchors the picture in a way and gives it depth. When I look at nature forms, I get a sense of calm and peace. Although the undulating forms have a sense of chaos, at the same time, there's something very tranquil about them. I think the common thread in this auction between these three distinct artists is one of inspiration. O'Keeffe inspired Stieglitz, Stieglitz inspired O'Keeffe, O'Keeffe likewise inspired Hamilton. It wouldn't be obvious to have a photographer inspiring a painter and a painter inspiring a sculptor and vice versa. But the relationships between these artists really allowed them to step into new media and challenge themselves in a way that is compelling.